The next aspect we're going to look at is balance or visual weight. Balance is the sense of distribution of visual weight across the frame. So if we think of a seesaw, and at either side of those two seesaws, we have two balls, both of equal size and shape. And if we move one of those balls closer and closer towards the center, the seesaw will become imbalanced and will tilt to one side. And that's essentially what visual balance is. Now, the larger something is, the more visual weight it has. If we take a very, very large circle and we put it on close to the center of our seesaw, we might still be able to off-balance it with a small one at the edge. So the way that works in an image is if I was to take a very large subject and put it at the center of the frame, or just off the center of the frame even, and over to the opposite side, close to the edge, I had a much smaller subject or object, then that would help to balance them out. All objects in our frame have a sense of visual weight. And their visual weight doesn't just depend on their size. In my image, I have a person. That person's probably going to carry a lot more visual weight than, for example, a shopping bag. Now, they could even be the same size roughly within the frame, but the fact that one is a person just has a lot more resonance with us, and we're automatically drawn to them more. And that's true of other aspects, things that add weight to the subject. If the subject or object is brighter, it's going to have a bit more visual weight, especially if the scene around it is particularly dark. But conversely, if we had a very, very bright scene and the subject was particularly dark, that would also give that subject a lot of visual weight. Color. So if it has a bolder or stronger color relative to the rest of the image, it's again going to carry a lot more visual weight. If it has a lot more texture or more detail relative to the rest of the image, again, it's going to have more visual weight. Generally, we want to balance our imagery to make it pleasing to the eye, especially when the imagery is being used for commercial purposes. We probably don't want to upset the viewer's eye. However, we might occasionally want to break the sense of balance to create a sense of tension, which too draws in quite a lot of attention and conveys a certain amount of emotion in our image. Okay, to recap, balance is created through the even distribution of visual weight across our image. Objects closer to the edge of the frame have greater visual weight, as well as those that are more saturated in color, are more brighter relative to their surroundings, have greater texture and detail. The actual subject themselves carries more weight, i.e. it's a person, a dog, an animal, or a baby. All of these things contribute. Generally, we want to create a balanced image, but on some occasions, we might not want to create a balanced image to create a sense of tension or impact.